morning, children, or is it good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. It's lovely to be here again, and as you can see, I'm pretending to be back in church. Today we're thinking about God and probability, and one of the things that a lot of decisions we make in life based on how likely something is to happen, we call that probability. And one of the things that we soon work out is if we take a coin, and this one here is a pretend Roman coin, I don't know if you can see it, but that's Caesar on the front. If you take a coin and you throw it in the air and it lands on the ground, then one of the amazing things is that half the time it'll land one way up on average, and the other chances are it'll land the other way up, heads or tails. So the probability of it landing on heads, and there's a probability of it landing on tails. There is a very, very slight probability or possibility of it landing on its edge. And I wonder what the probability is of me tossing the coin in the air and it carrying on up and up and up and up and up into the sky forever. Well, the answers to the first two, whether it lands on heads or tails, if you threw it in the air 10 times, on average it would land heads 5 times when it landed on the ground, and tails 5 times. It might not do 5 and 5, it might do 6 and 4 or 3 and 7. But on average, if you kept throwing it enough, it would land the same number of times on both sides. So the third thing was, what would happen if it landed on its edge? What is the probability of that happening? You know, I looked it up on the internet because I'm not clever enough to work it out for myself. But according to Harvard University, some very clever people in America, about 1 in 6,000 times it might land on its edge. So that's not very likely, is it? And my fourth suggestion, what would happen? How often would it carry on going up and up and up and up into the air? Well, unless you're Tim Peake on the space station, that would never happen, because it'll always come crashing back down to the ground because of gravity. I've been a Christian now for nearly 50 years and have found that God can be trusted. So the probability of God being trusted is, in my experience, is always. Unlike the flip of a coin, which could be heads, let's get that right, heads or tails, and some other things which are even more unlikely, like it landing on its edge, I've found that God can be trusted. He's never let me down, and when I do try and do things his way and listen to what he's saying. When I wander off on my own and do my own thing, then I'm afraid it's up to me then. It doesn't mean to say things never go wrong for me. It just means that when they do, God is there to catch me. I should have thrown the coin in the air and caught it. God is there to catch me. There's a book of the Bible called Deuteronomy, and in chapter 33, verse 27, it says, "The eternal God is your safe place, and underneath are his everlasting arms." So the probability is 100% that God will catch you. He won't let you fall. I'm going to share a story with you now from the Big Bible Storybook. The big, oh, look at that, I've torn the cover. Don't tell teacher. The Big Bible Storybook. And this is a lovely story. It's about a soldier who wasn't a Jew, who wasn't part of Jesus' race, but he was a soldier, a Roman soldier. I wonder if that's one of his coins that I was playing around with earlier. Anyway, it's about a Roman soldier who trusted Jesus. It's called Jesus Helps a Soldier. The soldier is very worried. His servant is not very well. He's in bed and he is very, very ill. The soldier decides to go to Jesus. Jesus will help, he says, so he goes to find Jesus. Jesus, he said, my servant is ill. Will you make him better? Of course, says Jesus. I'll come straight away. Oh, you don't need to come, replies the soldier. Just say the word and my servant will get better. I know that you can do that. Jesus is very pleased with that soldier and that he trusts him so much. Straight away, Jesus makes the servant well again. When the soldier goes home, his servant is out of bed and feeling much better. I knew Jesus could help, the soldier tells him. The soldier is right. Jesus will help everybody who asks him. So the soldier took a risk. He took a risk, but he knew the probability was good that Jesus would listen to him. And that's been my experience in my life. A man who trusted God and got the answer he wanted. Another verse in the Bible that talks about God being trustworthy. And this is what it says. It's from Malachi, which is another book from the Old Testament, and it's right at the end of the Old Testament, just before the New Testament begins. And this is Malachi 3, verse 10. And what it says is, if you bring everything that God requires of you into his storehouse, that there may be food for all the people, then you can test me in this, says God, and see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessings there will be not enough room to store it. You know, I've been a Christian, as I said earlier, for nearly 50 years, and my experience is that when I give to God, when I do what God says, amazingly, he blesses me far, far, far more than I've given him. And that is just something we can trust God. So whereas throwing a coin in the air, it might land heads or tails, about half and half, or every 6,000 throws, it might land on its edge. When you trust God, it's not like throwing a coin, because God is always there to listen and answer. Thank you very much, children. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's have a prayer. Dear God, thank you so much that we can trust you when we listen to what you say and we obey it. Amen.